I'm Emily Carter, 30 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I felt like a shadow in my own home, the kind that blends into the walls and gets stepped over without a second thought. It was one of those lazy summer Sundays, our family's big 4th of July cookout, with the smell of burgers sizzling on the grill and laughter floating through the backyard like fireflies at dusk. My mom, Susan, caught my eye across the picnic table, her glass of rose tipping just a bit in her perfectly painted hand, and she said it right to my face. "If you vanished into thin air tomorrow, honey, I don't think anybody would even blink." The whole table erupted in chuckles, like it was the funniest thing they'd heard all day. Everybody but me. I lifted my burger halfway to my mouth and muttered, "Okay, challenge accepted." They all thought it was just me being sarcastic, a little joke to brush it off. But deep down, in that quiet place inside me where hurts pile up like unread mail, I wasn't kidding at all. All those years of being overlooked, of pouring my heart into things that nobody seemed to care about, had built up like a storm cloud, and that moment was the lightning strike that set everything in motion. That night, as I drove home alone with the radio humming softly, I made up my mind to do something that would flip my whole world upside down. But hold on a second. Before I dive deeper into what happened next, drop a comment below and tell me where you're tuning in from. If you've ever felt like you're shouting into the wind just to be heard in your own life, give this a like and hit subscribe. Trust me, the twists ahead might just light a fire under you to grab hold of your own story and rewrite it your way. Feeling like I didn't matter in my family wasn't some fresh wound. It was more like an old scar that ached every time the weather changed, something I'd carried around since I was a kid, woven into the fabric of our everyday life like the faded floral pattern on our living room couch. My dad, Robert Carter, had scratched and clawed his way up from nothing to build his own financial consulting business, working those long hours that stretched from dawn till way past dinner, leaving his spot at the table cold and empty most nights. When he did make it home, tired lines etched around his eyes. Our talks always circled around stock markets, local elections, or whatever big wins my brother and sister had racked up lately. I'd try to chime in with something from my day, maybe a story about a photo shoot that went really well, but my words would get trampled over like autumn leaves underfoot, nobody pausing to let me finish. It wasn't mean-spirited, not always, but it stung all the same, making me feel like my voice was just background noise, like the hum of the fridge that you only notice when it stops. Then there was my mom, Susan, who ruled our social world like a queen bee in a hive, her calendar packed with luncheons, charity events, and bridge games at the community center. She had this way of wrapping insults in sugar, those little digs that sounded sweet at first but left a bitter taste. "Oh, Emily, that top you're wearing is so adventurous," she'd say with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, or, "Your picture-taking side gig is cute, sweetie. It keeps you busy, doesn't it?" It was like she couldn't see the passion burning in me, the way I lost myself in framing the perfect shot, capturing a sliver of life's magic through my lens. And my siblings. They were the stars of the show, the ones who soaked up all the spotlight without even trying. My older brother, Michael, 2 years ahead of me, breezed through med school like it was a Sunday stroll and landed a fancy spot in a heart specialist program at a top hospital. Family get-togethers turned into his personal highlight reel, with stories of saving lives or rubbing elbows with big-shot doctors, everyone hanging on his every word while I sat there nursing my iced tea, feeling smaller by the minute. My younger sister Laura, just 18 months behind me, followed Dad's path straight to a Harvard law degree, and by 28, she was already climbing the ladder to partner at her firm, handling cases that made the local news. Me. I was the middle kid, the one who chased dreams with a camera instead of stethoscopes or briefcases. My freelance photography work, which I'd turned into a steady way to pay the bills for 5 solid years, still got called my little pastime around the dinner table. "When are you gonna settle into something stable, Em?" they'd ask, their voices laced with that mix of concern and pity that made my stomach twist. Not everybody's cut out to chase rainbows forever. You need security, you know? I can still picture that Christmas dinner 3 years back, my heart pounding like a drum as I lugged my portfolio to the table, fresh off getting featured in a national travel mag. My fingers shook a little as I flipped it open, pointing out the spreads where my photos danced across the pages, capturing sunsets over rugged coasts and quiet moments in bustling markets. I was so proud, like I'd finally caught a piece of the sun in my hands. Mom glanced at it for maybe a heartbeat before turning away. "That's nice, dear," she said, her tone flat as day-old soda, then lit up like a Christmas tree for Laura. "Oh, have you shared about that new client yet? The one from the governor's office?" The portfolio just sat there, gathering dust for the rest of the night until I tucked it away, my excitement deflated like a popped balloon. That kind of thing happened over and over, a loop I couldn't seem to break. Birthdays forgotten until a guilty card showed up late, calls I made that went straight to voicemail and stayed unanswered, my wins shrugged off like they were nothing special. Showing up to family stuff felt like checking a box, and if I skipped one, nobody batted an eye. The only person who ever really got me was my grandma, Margaret. She'd pore over my photos with those wise eyes of hers, saying, "Emily, you've got a real spark. You see the heart in things most folks walk right by." In her cozy little condo, my pictures hung like treasures on every wall, not hidden away. She was the one who'd ring me up just to chat, remembering the names of my buddies and clients, asking real questions and hanging on my answers like they mattered. It was like she was the warm light in a house full of drafts. Just 2 weeks before that cookout, I'd gotten hit with a gut-punch rejection from a big art gallery that had dangled a show in front of me. "Your style's too everyday," the email read, cold as ice. "We want work that jumps off the wall." I was crushed, tears blurring my screen as I dialed Mom, hoping for a shoulder. She sighed heavy into the phone. "Well, Em, maybe it's time to think practical. Not everybody's meant to shine like that." Those words lodged in me like thorns, twisting deeper. Not everybody's meant to shine. Was that me in their eyes? Just average, easy to forget, fading into the background? By the time the 4th rolled around, those thorns had turned into a fire, burning away the last bits of hope I'd clung to. I tried everything. Therapy sessions where I practiced speaking up, books on boundaries that I read late at night after long days juggling shoots and edits from my home office, even little assertiveness tricks like repeating my points louder. But nothing stuck. The family rhythm just kept rolling over me. The cookout was classic Carter chaos. Michael showed up with his latest date, a kid's doctor from his hospital, all smiles and stories of tiny miracles. Laura dove into tales of her courtroom wins. Dad flipped burgers while barking into his phone about some deal, and Mom fluttered around like a hostess in a magazine, topping off drinks and dishing compliments. I parked myself in a shady corner of the yard, camera in hand but not snapping a thing, just watching through the viewfinder. The scene framed up perfect without me in it, a happy family snapshot where I was the odd piece that didn't fit. Then Mom sauntered over, refilling her glass, and dropped that bomb with a grin that was all teeth, no warmth. "If you vanished tomorrow, no one would even notice." The laughs that followed hit like slaps, a quiet agreement hanging in the air. My challenge accepted came out steady, but inside, I was shattering. The ride home was a haze of headlights and hot tears streaming down my cheeks, my grip on the wheel so tight it hurt. Mom's words looped in my head, each replay cutting deeper, but the real knife was knowing part of me believed them, that I was disposable, unseen. I pulled into my apartment lot as fireworks exploded overhead, bursts of red, white, and blue mocking my own quest for freedom. Inside my tiny one-bedroom, the place I'd scraped together on freelance gigs while balancing laundry and meal preps like any mom juggling work from home, I paced the floors, from the window overlooking the parking lot to the kitchen where dishes waited in the sink, back to the living room with its second-hand couch. It all felt temporary, like I'd been treading water waiting for real life to kick in. Midnight hit, and I grabbed my phone, dialing Jessica. She picked up groggy, her voice thick from sleep. "Em, you all right?" Jessica and I went way back to college, bonding in a darkroom over rolls of film, her the steady friend who'd stuck through thick and thin even as our paths forked. "I'm doing it, Jess," I said, my voice surprisingly even. "I'm gonna disappear." There was a pause, then a sigh. "Because of what Susan said?" "Em, come on. It's not just that, it's everything, years of it all." I sank onto the couch, pulling a throw blanket over my knees, the one Grandma Margaret had crocheted for me with its soft blues and greens that reminded me of ocean waves I'd photographed once. We talked till the wee hours, Jessica trying to sway me with ideas like family counseling or a heart-to-heart confrontation, or even just a long trip to clear my head. But as I spilled it all, the endless dismissals, the way my dreams got treated like childish games, the ache of always being last in line, her pushback softened into a sad kind of nod. "Where to, then?" she asked finally, her voice resigned but supportive. "Not sure yet. Someplace fresh, where I'm not the family flop." "What about your work, the apartment, all your stuff here?" "I've got savings tucked away," I explained, thinking of the late nights editing photos at my desk while the world slept, building that nest egg bit by bit. "The building manager can sublet for me. Most shoots are online anyway. I can rebuild clients wherever." By sunrise, we'd mapped it out. Jessica as my lifeline, checking the place, forwarding mail, the one soul who knew I was safe. Hanging up, I dragged out my suitcase, the old roller with stickers from past trips peeling at the edges. Packing was surreal. What do you take when you're starting over? Essentials like jeans and tees, my toiletries bag with the toothpaste stains from hurried mornings, my camera gear that felt like an extension of my arm, hard drives full of memories captured in pixels, a stack of dog-eared novels that had been my escape on tough days, and Grandma's quilt, its weight of comfort against the unknown. What hit me was how little else mattered. The thrift store lamp, the mismatched mugs, the knickknacks I'd picked up because they seemed adult. So much of it was just filler, stuff to make the place look lived in while I waited for something more. Bank opened at 9. I withdrew $5,000 in cash, crisp bills that felt heavy with possibility, leaving enough for bills on autopay. Then a bus ticket to Portland, Oregon, a city I'd fallen for during a workshop years ago, with its foggy mornings perfect for moody shots and an artsy vibe that called to me like a siren. The note was the toughest, words scratched and tossed a dozen times. Finally, "I need space to breathe. Please give me that. I'm okay and will reach out when ready. Emily." I left it on the counter next to my phone, that constant buzz of ignored texts and missed calls feeling like chains I was finally breaking. Last thing, I stared at the wall of family pics I'd kept up out of habit. Mom and Dad at their vow renewal, polished but distant. Michael in his scrubs, Laura in her cap and gown. Only Grandma Margaret's shot tugged at my heart, her smile genuine. I slipped it into my bag. Dawn air nipped at my skin as I rolled my case to the Uber, the driver quiet, bless him. No backward glances as we drove off. Nothing left to hold me. Bus station buzzed with folks chasing their own horizons. I paid cash for my ticket, boarded with a mix of fear and thrill pumping through me. As the bus rumbled out, a weight lifted, like shedding old skin. Nobody here knew me as the overlooked sister, the dreamer with no real job. I could be anybody, finally me. The trip dragged 2 days, stops in unfamiliar towns, landscapes blurring by, flat plains giving way to mountains, each mile pulling me further from the past. I napped in cramped seats, neck kinked, chatted minimally with seatmates, my mind swirling with what-ifs. Portland welcomed me with drizzle and doubt, exhaustion warring with resolve. I checked into a cheap motel, the room smelling of pine cleaner and stale air, paid for 3 nights to buy time. That first night, alone in the lumpy bed, sobs racked me, not regret, but the raw truth of it all, the freedom scary as hell. I thought of Mom's smirk, Dad's distractions, Michael's superiority, Laura's competition, a lifetime of begging for scraps of attention. If you vanished, no one would notice. Sleep came with a vow to make it true, to build something where I shone. Portland wrapped me in its rainy embrace, kindness seeping in like morning fog. After motel days, I scored a cozy studio over a bookshop in a buzzing arts district. Rent high, but those big windows flooding light perfect for editing shots at my makeshift desk. First up, money. Savings wouldn't last forever, so on day 2, dodging rain, I ducked into Brew and Tail Cafe. The owner, Linda, a warm 50-something with laugh lines, chatted while foaming my coffee. "New around here?" she asked, spotting my soggy map. Her easy smile pulled truth from me, not the full tale, but close. "Yeah, fresh start." She nodded like she'd heard it a million times. "We all need resets." Want shifts here? Flexible for your photos. Just like that, a job, 20 hours slinging lattes, leaving room for shoots. Linda had her own reboot story. Post-divorce, she'd poured her soul into the cafe, spotting my kindred ache. It became my rock, the early opens with coffee grinders humming, rush hours blurring into friendly faces learning my name. Emily, your lattes hit different, a regular said after weeks, simple words warming me like sun after rain. Being noticed, even small, was a rush after years invisible. Afternoons, camera slung over shoulder, I wandered, misty woods, street art alleys, capturing Portland's soul. New Instagram, unlinked to old, drew locals loving my fresh take. One follower, Alex, a designer, DM'd about a brewery label gig using my forest pic. We met, talked hours, him pulling me into his circle, Sophie the baker supplying Linda's pastries, blunt but big-hearted. They dragged me to exhibits, trails, potlucks, no judgments, just welcome. My building's neighbors eased in too. George, retired lit prof across the hall, widowed and wandering, bonded over Sunday coffees on his balcony, debating stories while watching life below. Best shots, like poems, uncover magic in the mundane, he said, reshaping my lens. I shifted from pretty postcards to raw beauty, a mom's tired smile mid-diaper change, rain-slicked sidewalks glowing, hands kneading dough. Without family shadows, confidence bloomed. I trusted my gut, shed doubts. 3 months in, Linda pushed. Hang your stuff here, that wall's bare. The mini-show sold prints, sparked commissions. By month 4, cafe hours dropped, photography surging. Linda cheered like a proud aunt. Knew you had it, girl. No belittling, just faith. Alex nudged therapy. Knew you needs unpacking old junk. Dr. Thompson, his rec, listened sharp in our first meet as I unpacked vanishing. What did you seek beyond escape? She probed, hitting home. Sessions unraveled family knots, disappearing versus healthy space, growth from distance. They taught you unworthiness, wrong lesson, rewrite with truth. 6 months I was transformed, not flashy, but inside, shorter hair, bolder clothes defying mom's critiques, waking eager, voicing needs unapologetically. To celebrate, friends threw a cafe bash post-close, gifting my missed photo canvas. To Emily, making our world brighter, Alex toasted. Alone later, Jessica's call. Ready to reach out? Not yet. Grandma calls weekly, worried sick. Others, police after weeks. Mom grilled me twice. Dad thinks you'll beg cash. Sibs silent. 6 months gone, only Grandma cared deep. Hypothesis confirmed. No real notice. Happy M. Jessica asked. Surveying my space, photos, flowers from George, Sophie's invite. I smiled. On my way, truly. While I bloomed in Portland, my absence rippled back home, slow at first. Jessica dished. Days post-note, Mom found it checking if I sulked. Annoyance ruled. Dramatic as ever, Mom told Dad via Grandma. Dad shrugged. She'll surface broke. Michael and Laura texted guesses. Then nada. Grandma pushed. Emily's strong, but this hurts her deep. She hounded for police. Cops shrugged at adults' choice. Mom hated the shame, spinning breakdown tales. Months in, cracks showed, wedding whispers, Mom's fibs of my Euro gig. Behind scenes, rage to fear, Dad buried in work, Sibs dodged blame. 6 months, therapist for Mom, anxiety, not reflection, PI Carlos Ramirez from Dad's wallet. He grilled, but Jessica stonewalled. Pressure built, Mom's producile tears to Jessica. What did I do? Think on how you treated her. Shock hit Mom. Thanksgiving broke her, empty seat, sobs in my old room. She's gone, our fault. Dad pushed therapy. Sibs reckoned. Michael to Jessica. Bad brother, huh? Laura's emails. Sorry, so wrapped in approval, hurt you. Year mark. Carlos traced northwest via card slip. Style matched Insta. Time up, But I was ready, stronger, self-found. Grandma to Jessica. They're ready to see her now. If not, I'll make 'em. Gallery debut, unseen scene, 20 pics of hidden wonders. Linda linked owner. Prep consumed me. Opening buzzed, crowd oohing, reporter mid-chat when they appeared. Mom shrunk, dad awed, Michael/Laura unsure, grandma determined. Eyes locked with hers. Year gone in a blink. Family, I told reporter, crossing to them like waiting tides. Emily, mom choked. Grandma hugged fierce. Knew you were fine. Post-event meet at my place. Next morn, crammed in, silence heavy. PI found Insta, cafe tip, dad said. Built something. Mom noted, surprised. Why? Laura burst. Calm, I countered. Years overlooked. Barbecue last straw. You laughed. Didn't mean, Michael started. Impact matters. Invisible till I believed it. Tears flowed. Dad admitted art regrets. Dismissed yours to bury mine. Sibs confessed. Michael work obsessed. Laura jealous of my certainty. Hours talked. Tense to tender. Home. Mom asked. Portland is. But rebuild slow. Grandma. You stand tall now. Post-leave peace washed me. They found me, but I'd found self first. 3 months later, packing for home visit. Grandma's Thanksgiving invite. Mom's texts buzzing. Alex packed laughs. Not too meek. Sophie. Feel strong. George. Book on belonging. Linda. Coming back. Promise. Flight stirred old ghosts. Dr. Thompson prepped. You're the new you. Dad's airport hug awkward. Drive chit-chat. House unchanged. Mom tense at door. Welcome. Grandma's embrace homey. Sibs deferential. Michael photo questions. Laura clinic share. Dinner strained till grandma. Eggshells off. Acknowledge. Forward. Laughter broke ice. Mom. Kept room. But guest felt right. In old room, shoebox of my teen pics. Saved em, saw they were special, never said. Stunned, bridge formed. Evening confessions. Michael's therapy, Laura's envy. 4 days revelations. Dad's attic art. Mom's portfolio listen. Sib struggles. Portland spring. Mom asked. Maybe. Grandma. Glad. Yes, but needed leave first. Found you. Yes. 2 years post-vanish. Apartment prepped for family. My book, Spotting the Hidden, fresh off press. Sylvia texted. Safe arrival. Doorbelled them. Transformed. Mom wildflowers. Dad painting. Sibs easing. Grandma proud. Tour buzzed appreciation. Dinner with both families meshed perfect. Mom toasted. To Emily, brave disappear to be seen. Grandma later. Strength in your worlds. Breakfast at cafe, Mom. You belong. Afternoon photo. All in frame. Me front. Journey from shadow to light. Vanish necessary for self-sight. Echoes fade. Photo reminds. Authentic. Seen. In the quiet moments after everyone left that day, I sat at my desk, flipping through the pages of my book, each photo a memory not just of places and people, but of the woman I'd become. It wasn't just about the images, it was about the heart behind them, the way I'd learned to pour my emotions into every click of the shutter. Back when I was still living in that old life, photography had been my quiet rebellion, a way to capture beauty in a world that felt so gray. I'd sneak out early mornings before the family stirred, camera in hand, chasing the first light as it painted the neighborhood in gold. Those solo adventures were my sanctuary, where I didn't have to explain myself or compete for attention. But even then, the doubt crept in, Mom's offhand comments about real careers, Dad's silence that spoke volumes, Michael's achievements casting long shadows that made my little successes feel insignificant. I'd come home from those shoots buzzing with excitement, only to have it fizzle out over dinner when the conversation turned to Laura's latest mock trial win or Michael's internship stories. It was like my passion was a hobby they indulged, but never truly valued, and over time, that chipped away at me until I started questioning if it was worth it at all. Leaving changed everything. In Portland, with no one to compare myself to, I let that passion breathe. I remember my first real hike here, boots sinking into muddied trails, fog wrapping around trees like old friends. I shot for hours, not thinking about approval, just feeling the click of connection between me and the world. Those photos were raw, emotional, capturing the loneliness of a solitary bench in the rain, the joy in a child's puddle splash. They weren't perfect by gallery standards, but they were mine, infused with the tears and triumphs of starting over. And when people started responding, leaving comments on my new account about how my work made them feel seen, it was like balm on old wounds. It reminded me that being visible isn't about shouting loudest. It's about sharing your truth quietly and letting it resonate with those who get it. Family visits now bring a mix of warmth and caution. I love seeing Grandma's eyes light up at my latest prints, or hearing Dad share his painting struggles, but I hold boundaries tight, like precious gems. No more shrinking. If a conversation veers into old patterns, I gently steer it back or step away for a breath. Therapy with Dr. Thompson taught me that it's okay to protect the peace I've built. Working from home here, my days are a rhythm of edits at dawn with coffee steaming, client calls mid-morning, afternoons wandering for inspiration. It's not glamorous, but it's real, filled with the emotional highs of nailing a shot that captures a client's wedding vows or the quiet lows of rejections that now bounce off easier. I've learned to embrace the mess, the late nights balancing books while dinner simmers, the personal sacrifices like skipping social stuff to meet deadlines, the inner reflections on why I chase this life. It's for the freedom, the way it lets me weave family dynamics into my art without being defined by them. Michael's calls now are genuine check-ins, sharing his burnout fears. Laura's emails confess her own doubts about the law path. Mom's therapy has softened her, turning criticisms into curiosities. Tell me more about that photo, Em. What were you feeling? Dad's retirement opened him up. Our art talks a bridge over past gaps. Grandma's visits are treasures, her stories blending with mine over balcony coffees. My Portland crew, Alex brainstorming over takeout, Sophie dropping fresh scones with pep talks, George quoting poetry that sparks ideas, Linda mothering from the cafe. They're the family I chose, blending seamlessly with blood ties. Veronica's bridge role keeps old roots alive without pulling me back. The book launch felt like a pinnacle, but really, it's just a chapter in an ongoing story. Each day, I reflect on that barbecue, the pain that propelled me, the growth that followed. Disappearing wasn't revenge, it was reclamation, a way to honor my emotions, sacrifices, and dreams. If you're reading this, feeling that invisible pull, know you're not alone. Start small, a photo, a journal entry, a boundary set. Build your world where you're the star. You've got the strength. Sometimes, you just need to step away to see it. But let's dig deeper into those early days in Portland, because that's where the real transformation brewed, slow and steady like a pot of soup on the stove while you're multitasking laundry and emails. I arrived with my suitcase feeling heavier than it was, loaded not just with clothes but with the weight of uncertainty. The bus station was a whirlwind of strangers, each with their own stories etched in tired eyes and hurried steps, and I blended right in, anonymous for the first time in forever. Checking into that motel, the clerk barely looked up as I paid cash, and collapsing onto the bed, the springs creaking under me, I let the tears come. They weren't just sad tears, they were a release, washing away years of pent-up frustration, the kind that builds when you're always the one making sacrifices for family harmony, biting your tongue at dinners, showing up to events where you're overlooked, pouring energy into relationships that give little back. I thought of all the times I'd stayed late editing photos while the house was quiet, sacrificing sleep to meet deadlines, only to have my work dismissed as a hobby. In that motel room, with its peeling wallpaper and humming mini-fridge, I allowed myself to grieve the life I'd left, but also to dream of what could be. The next morning, rain pattering against the window like gentle encouragement, I set out to find a place. Walking those slick streets, umbrella in one hand, map in the other, I felt a spark of excitement amid the fear. This was mine to shape. The studio above the bookshop called to me immediately. Climbing the narrow stairs, the scent of old pages mingling with fresh paint, and stepping into that space with its slanted ceilings and floods of light, I could picture my desk by the window, camera gear spread out, no one to interrupt or judge. Signing the lease felt like signing a pact with myself. This is your fresh start, Emily, make it count. Setting up was therapeutic. Unpacking Grandma's quilt first, draping it over the bed like a hug from afar, then arranging my books on a makeshift shelf from crates I'd found curbside. It wasn't much, but it was intentional, each item chosen because it sparked joy or memory, not because it fit someone else's idea of home. That first week, loneliness hit hard. Evenings alone, microwave dinners while scrolling job listings, missing the familiar chaos of family even as I resented it. But Linda's offer at the cafe turned the tide. Starting shifts, learning the espresso machine's quirks, chatting with customers. It was grounding, a routine that mirrored the work-from-home balance I'd always craved but now on my terms. One regular, a harried mom with a toddler in tow, became a daily bright spot. She'd share snippets of her day, juggling remote work and kid chaos, and I'd nod, relating deeply, our conversations emotional lifelines in the bustle. "You're a natural," Linda said after a rush, her praise simple but sincere, filling a void I'd carried too long. Photography wove back in gradually. Early mornings before shifts, I'd slip out to capture the city waking, steam rising from manhole covers, joggers in the mist, flowers blooming defiant in cracks. Each shot was a reflection. This flower is me, pushing through concrete to bloom. Posting on the new account, I held my breath, but likes trickled in, then comments. This makes me see my commute differently. It was validating, emotional, proof my voice mattered. Meeting Alex was a turning point. Our coffee chat stretched into evening, sharing stories of reinvention. He got it, having left a corporate gig for design, and introducing Sophie, with her flower-dusted apron and no-nonsense advice, built my circle. Our hikes became therapy, panting up trails, opening up about family hurts, their empathy a balm. George added depth. Our coffees evolved into deep dives on life, his loss mirroring my emotional exile, reminding me healing's shared. Dr. Thompson's sessions peeled layers. Your family's narrative isn't yours. Unpacking barbecues past, tears flowing as I voiced resentments, she guided me to forgiveness, not for them, but me. Months blurred, successes stacking, exhibition, commissions, book deal whispers. Each win a reflection on sacrifices, nights alone, fears faced, growth earned. Family ripples via Jessica stirred mixed feelings, satisfaction at their notice, guilt at pain caused. But I was building, not breaking, a life rich in emotion, connection, real. Expanding on the reconciliation, because that's where the emotional layers really unfolded, like peeling an onion that makes you cry but clears the air. When they showed up at the gallery, the air thick with wine and chatter, seeing them froze me. Mom looked worn, her usual poise cracked, eyes scanning the room until they landed on me, widening with a mix of relief and regret. Dad trailed, his tie a bit askew, taking in my work with an expression I'd never seen, pride mixed with sorrow. Michael and Laura hung back, shifting feet like kids caught out, and Grandma pushed forward, cane tapping determined. That hug from her was home in a strange land, her whisper, I knew, bringing tears. Navigating the rest of the opening was autopilot, smiles for guests, but my mind raced with what-ifs. Next morning in my apartment, sunlight streaming through those big windows I'd loved from day one, the air was thick with unspoken words. They crammed onto my couch, the space feeling smaller, more intimate than our old house ever did. Dad broke ice with the PI tale, practical as always, but his voice cracked, revealing the worry beneath. Mom's eyes roamed my walls, landing on photos, a child's laugh frozen in time, an elderly hand holding a flower, and she said, "You've created something beautiful here," her tone laced with surprise and a hint of envy, as if seeing me thrive without them was a revelation. Laura's outburst, "Why leave like that?" ignited the fire, her words sharp with hurt, but I met them calm, years of therapy arming me. Because I was drowning in invisibility, I said, voice steady but emotional, recounting moments. Forgotten birthdays where I'd bake my own cake, working from home alone while they celebrated elsewhere, the barbecue laugh that echoed endless. Michael's flinch, "We didn't mean to," met my, "But you did," quoting Dr. Thompson on Impact. Tears came then, Mom's first, silent streams down her cheeks as she admitted the barbecue was just a joke, but I pushed deeper. It was the sum of a lifetime. Dad's confession floored me, his buried painting dreams, how my pursuit mirrored what he'd abandoned for stability, making dismissal easier than regret. It humanized him, this man I'd seen as distant, now vulnerable, sharing how my absence forced him to face his own sacrifices. Michael's admission of work consuming him, leaving no room for sibling bonds, resonated. We'd both chased approval in different ways. Laura's jealousy shocked. "You knew your path. I followed expectations." Hours passed, emotions ebbing and flowing like tides, from accusations to apologies, reflections on family dynamics where success trumped connection. Grandma mediated, her wisdom an anchor. "We've all got lessons." As they left, Mom's "Come home" met my gentle, "This is home now, but let's build slow." Her acceptance, no pushback, was growth. Alone after, window gazing, peace settled. The confrontation healed wounds, but my strength came from the life I'd forged first. The visit back home was a test, packing emotional baggage alongside clothes. Alex's teasing, Sophie's cookies, George's book, Linda's hug, all reminders of my support net. Flight thoughts swirled, old Emily versus new, Dr. Thompson's words echoing. Dad's hug at arrival was tentative, drive filled with safe topics, but my candor, nervous too, cracked his shell. House loomed familiar, Mom at door restrained, her hug hesitant. Grandma's welcome grounded me. Sib's deference, questions genuine, shares vulnerable, showed change. Dinner's tension broke with Grandma's outburst, laughter freeing us. Room choice symbolic, finding the shoebox, Mom's admission, "Saw your talent," never said, bridged gaps, her reflection on her upbringing's influence emotional. Confessions flowed, Michael's therapy, Laura's envy clarified. Days brought revelations, Dad's attic paints, bonding over art, Mom's attentive portfolio listen, Sib's struggles shared. Future talks tentative, boundaries set. Grandma's quiet, "Found yourself," affirmed. Returning to Portland, I carried hope without losing ground. Years on, integration's beautiful. Family visits blend worlds. Book symbolizing journey. Weekly calls with Mom respectful. Dad's painting exchanges bond. Sib's balances inspire. Grandma's frequent stays weave past present. Portland crew thrives. Alex partner, Sophie bakery with my walls. George book illustrated by me, Linda Hart. Veronica visits bridge. That dinner toast, Grandma's wisdom, cafe breakfast, group photo, moments of completion. Journey teaches. Visibility starts within, build around worthy seers. Echoes fade, but strength endures. Have you ever felt like a ghost in your own home? What would starting fresh look like for you? Share below. Like, subscribe, share if it hits home. Thanks for joining my story. Remember, disappearing can be the path to being truly seen.